The Dentalpreneur Podcast. Okay, doctor, it's time to put down that handpiece. You're listening to the show dedicated to helping dentists get their lives back. It's time to decrease your stress, increase your profitability, and regain your passion. Now introducing your host, Dr. Mark Costas.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Dentalpreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Mark Costas. What is up, my friends? I hope you're doing great out there today. Very excited for today's guest. It's been just a little bit since we met at the Dykema conference, and she really impressed me when she was on stage, and I kind of approached her afterwards and asked if she would be willing to be on the podcast, and she so graciously accepted my invitation. I want to introduce to you guys Dr. Heather Dawn Lawson Meyers. She is a transformational speaker, coach, and John C. Maxwell leadership team member. She has a passion for cultivating high-performance teams. She's on a mission to elevate dental practices into coveted assets, paving the way for a prosperous future while igniting inspiration throughout the dental profession. Boasting 36 years of hands-on experience, Dr. Lawson Meyers intimately understands the multifaceted challenges dental teams face. Her conversational presentation style effortlessly equips dental professionals with the tools and techniques to conquer impediments, turning stress into a resounding success. HD, how are you today?
I am fantastic. All the better for seeing you, Mark.
It's so great to see you as well. You just have this energy about you that emanates even through a Zoom. Your smile is infectious. I'm so glad to be able to spend the afternoon with you.
The feeling is absolutely mutual.
Thank you so much. Hey, HD, maybe you could start by kind of giving us a little bit of a background. You've been in the trenches for some time now, over 3 decades, but we'd love to hear how this all got started and how you got to work with dental teams and all that good stuff.
So I have been in the trenches for over 30 years. So maybe that means I'm a child prodigy, right?
Could be. You must have started when you were 6 years old.
My dental journey began at Howard University, where I completed a Doctor of Dental Surgery degree, practiced in the States for a few years, 5 years, owned my own practice, really loved it, but wanted to come home. And since I've been in Jamaica, I've had a wonderful, flourishing private practice, but I've always felt the need to give back. So I've been heavily involved in my association and also the governing body that leads dentists. We call it in Jamaica the Dental Council. And I had the privilege of being the only female chairman of the Dental Council. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I love it.
I've informally trained many people over the years, but maybe about in 2014, I started seriously preparing myself to coach and train through the John C. Maxwell movement. And since then, I've acquired other skills, other certifications. And then in 2021, does that sound familiar? Pandemic?
It does, yes.
So everybody's world getting turned upside down. I decided it's time enough to spread some of this knowledge. And so since then, I've been training dental assistants. I've been coaching dental teams, and I have been coaching medical and dental professionals.
Excellent. Okay, so
I heard some.
Yeah, there was a little bit of feedback. That's okay. I got you. We'll fix that in post-production.
Okay.
So HD, tell me this. Up until that point, up until 2021, when you transitioned from practice owner here in the States to practice ownership in Jamaica, what did you see was the biggest kind of difference between the two markets?
There's a slight correction. I migrated back to Jamaica 5 years after I graduated from dental school at Howard. So I've been in Jamaica since 1993.
Got it. Okay.
But, back and forth, things are essentially the same in dentistry, no matter where you go in the world. It's the same challenges, meaning that most of us, I'm not talking about DSOs or, the large conglomerates. Most of us are having the same challenges with staffing, with HR, with finding time to train and to keep and maintain standards. And really and truly trying to do that in a small office can really be overwhelming. Thankfully, in my early years, I connected with Kathy Jameson. I don't know if
No.
you know Jameson Management.
I do.
I had the privilege of working with them, not as a coach, but just being under the umbrella of Kathy Jameson, learned a whole lot. And on that journey, I was able to see that all the challenges that they were working through with offices in the US, same challenges here in the Caribbean. And I suspect if we were to check the UK, it would be absolutely the same. People are people, right, Mark?
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. I had the great privilege of being able to speak at the dental school there in Kingston. I think it's University of West Indies, UE. Spoke.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
I'm scheduled to go up there and speak to the students this Friday. So I'm going to tell them Mark says hi.
Please do. Please do. Dr. David Dunning from University of Nebraska was a very forward-thinking practice management professor. And he would go and kind of host a summertime session with the dental students there. And he invited me to go speak a couple of years in a row and had just a lovely time, and really, really ambitious young students, very small dental class, which I think is to their benefit. I mean, there's only, I think, less than 20 in the classes when I was speaking there. But beautiful facility and great kids that really were interested in the entrepreneurial side of things. It was very refreshing to go speak there, and a warm reception, had a great time. So I love very much your home country, and it is just a beautiful place to be. And I would love to hear a little bit about what it is that you focus on when you're working with dental teams and dental assistants.
Oh, thank you so much for that question. A lot of what I see in the dental industry focuses on systems. Systems are great. I could not function without systems. However, the little challenges that I see, those little knots that we're constantly trying to weave out, have more to do with people. Who are the people that we're hiring? I mean, you may look at a resume and say, check, 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 check. This person has all the experience, but what does that person bring to your team in terms of emotional intelligence? Do you know who you are? Because if you don't know who you are, you don't know what you're looking for in a team member to either fill some gaps or enhance what you already have. So understanding emotional intelligence is extremely important. That can begin by just doing a simple personality test to see. Now, no test is the be all and end all, but it begins to shape, to give some kind of feel of who this person is. Is this person's personality suited for the front desk? Because this person is an introvert. They probably would be better off with dealing with something analytical based on their personality. But you have them at the front desk and you're pushing them beyond where they are not necessarily not capable of going, but it's not their comfort zone. And so they're always going to pull back to where their comfort zone is. Whereas you may have somebody doing inventory who's just not well organized, but would do great at the front desk. So having knowledge like that can really be a stress breaker.
Yeah, that's so wise.
I focus a lot on the people skills, understanding who they are, understanding how to group people together with their strengths. Where my weakness comes in, your strength fills the gap, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, there's a lot of wisdom in understanding what motivates people and the type of personality that they have, their strengths and weaknesses. And you're so right when you're kind of alluding to the fact that there are people that are more analytical, more numbers type people. And a lot of times those people aren't the best for forward-facing kind of people interactive positions, but still valuable to the organization in a lot of ways.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I don't know if you're familiar with Strength Finders, but Strength Finders coaching allows me to work with teams, finding their talents and allowing them to thrive where they naturally do well. And once we're able to unpack and put that puzzle together, you will be surprised to know how you take a group of people that have just been thrown together and specifically place them, and something blooms that you could not imagine was there. And we know for sure that in the environment in which we work, stress is always going to be a part of it because, you know, things change moment by moment. You have a wonderful huddle, you decide who is going to do what. 15 minutes out, this person is going to be late. This one can't come. This one was scheduled for a prophy, but they now want restorative work. All of those changes are taking place constantly. So having the right people in the right positions won't totally eliminate stress, but it will allow for a freer flowing environment and more camaraderie because people now understand their gaps and who has the strength and who to look for this and who to look for that. And knowing that and putting those things in place, oh my goodness, that alone is a stress breaker.
Indeed. So, you know, you kind of mentioned 2021, and that's kind of imprinted in a lot of our brains. The poor students that were going through dental school during that period of time really had a rough go. And kind of got forgotten a little bit. Many of them graduated without a whole lot of clinical experience because clinics were shut down and they graduated. They pushed them through anyway. And some of them had like one crown prep and one root canal under their belt and maybe a handful of fillings. So I felt bad for those students, but also there was a mass exodus of dental workers, medical care workers that left and never came back. So we found ourselves as dental practice owners with this huge void in the workforce and not a whole lot of people willing to come back. So with that being said, have you noticed that has permanently affected our profession, or have we bounced back?
So we've found a new norm. And what I mean by that is many offices never had virtual assistants. Now, many offices are using virtual assistants or AI to help with the phone calls, message taking, setting appointments, all of that. So that's new and that's different. And that's not necessarily bad, but it's a new norm for us.
Sure.
The big gap in the clinical area remains a big gap. And so one of the reasons why I feel that my online training course has gone so well is because people don't have time to wait for somebody to go through 2 years and be qualified to be an assistant. But if they can find someone who has the right attitude and just need some quick instruction, they may be training on the job, but here I am to supplement with the online training to make sure that when Martha says, just do this, Dame says, Martha, this is why we do this. So you can begin to fill the gap. So, you know, dentists have always been resilient. We've had to be. And so many people are operating, but it's never going to be the same. And we as dental professionals have to be able to evolve and realize maybe there are some things that we didn't think through before that we definitely need to think through. Because if people are coming from other industries where they're accustomed to certain things, and we're not quite organized and ready for that, it may not be a good fit for them.
Sure.
Right? Sure. The reality is, who has an HR department when you have 4 dental operatories, 2 assistants, and a hygienist? Nobody.
Yeah. You are the HR department owner, Doc.
So creatively looking at grouping together and connecting with someone who can help several offices with HR. That may be something that most people would gravitate to now, because it's not somebody that you have to hire, but you can still get the same support, right? So we're looking at things differently. Things have changed. I choose to say we are creating a new norm, and it continues to evolve, because we're not quite there yet. We're still trying to figure out a lot.
Yeah, I love it. Maybe you could talk us through what your curriculum looks like. How does this training work? And, I don't know if you knew this, but I had a curriculum that I wrote way back in 2007 through 2008 called Horizon Schools of Dental Assisting. And it was different from what you do in that I created this dental assisting school curriculum that I would teach in my reception area. And then the operatories in my main office were kind of the lab, and people would go and we would pass instruments. We'd teach them how to take x-rays and stuff like that. And I got this curriculum passed in my through my state, which was Arizona, through the State Board of Post-Secondary Education. And it got the stamp of approval. And then people started kind of reaching out to me saying, I want to do the same thing in my office. So we sold it. We licensed it to about 200 dentists across the United States. And there's still a lot of dental assisting schools that are open in dental offices across the country. But yours is a virtual program, which I find very, very interesting and a lot more practical, frankly, for people to consume. So is this program a direct-to-consumer program? Are you marketing it to potential people that want to be dental assistants, or are you marketing it to dentists that are bringing people in and they want to train up their people quickly?
Love that question. Both.
Oh, great. Okay.
So we have a website, Dental Assisting Made Easy. And if you go on that website, it assumes that you want to make a career change. You may know little or nothing about dentistry, and everything is online. You take a course, a lesson, until you have demonstrated mastery in that lesson. You can't move on to the next one.
Got it. Okay.
Right? We can look and see who is doing well, who is struggling. Once a month, I meet virtually, face-to-face, where we can ask questions, where I teach. So even though you have the opportunity to move at your own pace, you still have an opportunity to touch with me and to get questions answered and to get poured into even more. So that's for a career change. What we have for doctors is another website called trainyourassistant.com.
Oh, I love it.
And that is a membership where you can train up to 5 dental assistants at the same time. As a dentist, let me tell you, one of the worst things to do is to invest in somebody who seems like gold in the beginning, and 2 months in, you're like, oh my gosh, this is not going to work. But I've invested so much already, so let me push on. You do not have to put yourself through that stress, because you can train up to 5 assistants at a time. And if one is not working, swap it out. It's 5. It's not the 5. It's any 5 at a time.
Right.
The other thing is, I want to know if I am investing in someone, if I'm getting value for my money. Because if I'm paying, I know the value. If I just say, go on and train, you may not realize the investment being made in you. So in real time, we can say to our doctors, okay, of the 5 people you're training, Anthony hasn't been on the platform in 3 months. Gail is killing it. Not only is she always online, but her grades are way up there. So you as a doctor can make a decision. Anthony's got to go. Or maybe Anthony needs a pep talk or something. And what we've done is we have 24 lessons, and each one of those 24 lessons has CE attached to it, right? And through ACE, you can get your credits for those lessons. But after those 24, we drop one course a month. We've just finished with endo. We're starting on ortho. After you've gone through the ortho, we're heading on to implant. So the idea is a Kaizen method. You continue to build on what you have, So dentists have the assurance that their team is always on the grow. Now, what came out of those two platforms, specifically the membership one, is that dentist said to me, do you coach? Because we've been having some little issues here. And sure I do. I didn't know that this is where I would end up, but you know what? I've been trained as a coach for many years. So when the time is right, you can say yes without hesitation.
Sure.
And that has been wonderful. Because I'm by nature a people person. I love pouring into people. I love seeing results. I love the satisfaction of the dentist saying, I don't know what you did, but I'm so glad you did it. And I don't take credit for it because, as a Christian, I consider myself a vessel that I allow the Lord to work through. And I love pouring into people. And so you can either come on the platform as an individual and get yourself prepared and enter with confidence the dental world, or a dentist can decide that they want to upgrade their team, training, coaching, and guess what, Mark? When you live on an island paradise, you have the opportunity to say, come for a workation. We're going to drill down for about 4 days, hunker down, we'll have some fun, and we'll do some things to ensure that the team becomes more cohesive. They learn how to work with each other, and you go back with everybody feeling ready to turn the page and act like rock stars.
Oh, I love it. What a beautiful service you're providing. So you bring up something that I think about often, and that is, leadership and communication are not natural born innate skills for most of us, right? So when your doc is saying, "Hey, do you coach?" there's usually something going on there. There's a block between their style of communication and leadership and the receptivity of the dental assistant's style. Like maybe they're not meshing for some reason or another. There's some sort of a conflict or a block there. What do you think typically is happening with the doctor's style of trying to get their people motivated and receptive to new information that is not happening correctly that you can overcome?
So I'll start by answering it this way. I also coach professionals. I started out with dentists only, but then I've ended up coaching medical doctors as well. We're in the same boat.
Sure.
This particular person came to me and she says, I just attended a session yesterday and I realized that my personality, I'm just not a good leader. And I said, really? I said, there's no such thing as not being a good leader. We need to understand our personalities because some people lead ahead, some people lead from behind, but understanding your style allows you to, in your authentic self, learn how to lead where it is in your comfort zone. And so I think sometimes it's just allowing people to bring out what they already have. That's what coaching is. And giving them guidelines so that they can use what they have and create the results that they want. So somebody may not be a big talker. Let's say I just want to be in the mouth and get things done. I'm not a big talker. But maybe their assistant that they would want to have partner with them is someone who is effervescent and pleasant and fills that gap so the patient does not necessarily feel that void. But me knowing what I need to fill that gap is where the importance lies. Not whether I speak a lot or not, if you get my drift.
I do. Yeah.
The doctor may have a personality where they're full of life and but not well organized. So maybe the person who is supporting them with scheduling and all of that is the one that knows, okay, he's going to be trying to do it for everybody. He's just that kind of guy. I need to organize his life over here. And that's a win-win situation. Just understanding who you are, who you need in your life, what the situation is best that you work well in, and trying to help you create that.
Yeah, I love that. That's beautiful. As an executive coach / professional coach dealing with medical professionals, highly educated people that that typically, I will say this because I'm one of them, were never developed as natural communicators and leaders. We talked about this already. What are you typically working with them on? What are their big challenges? Why are they seeking coaching? What void are they trying to overcome in their area of expertise?
So I think everybody is on a growth trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as you go along in your professional life, you realize, okay, I have all the fancy equipment. I have all the systems in place. What's missing? And that what's missing may feel like I'm just not fulfilled, or it may feel like I just can't get it together because I think I have all the components, but it's just not coming together and being productive in the way that I would like to.
Okay.
So I find that people may not have the language to share what the challenge is, but they may be able to say, I'm not sure what it is, but I'm just not where I want to be. And that's where, as a coach, you come in and you help to provide clarity. Because as you know, Mark, we're all so different. You may want to work 4 days a week and spend Friday playing golf or whatever. Somebody else may be in a season of life where they have young children and they don't want to start early, and they don't want to work too late either. So understanding what season you're in, what you need to happen for you in that season is imperative. Because sometimes you're trying to do it all and you have all these balls in the air, and guess what? They're falling like crazy and you don't know why and you don't know how to fix it.
Yeah.
So I have found that each person has their unique challenge, and it is only when we sit down to converse that you're able to peel the layers of the onion back and see, okay, this is what the challenge is. How can we move forward? So it's very rare that people come and say, this is it right here. Most people don't kind of know what it is and they don't know how to figure it out. So can you help me?
Yeah. I love that. So I have read maybe a half dozen John Maxwell books. So I'm very familiar with his message, and I think that he's one of the great gifts to personal development and leadership training, et cetera. So in your kind of certification and your time spent training under John Maxwell, what were some of the things that you took away that you've embodied in yourself personally? And what are some of the strategies, tactics, philosophies that you try to impart from that training to other people that you work with?
I have one simple philosophy. Love God, love people. Most of us are failing at the love people part. And the truth is, if we invest in people, if people first see that you value them, it's very easy for them to go along the path with you. And if you've had the experience of interacting with John and his team, you realize John puts people first, not some of the time, not most of the time, all the time. And figuring out how to do that on an individual basis comes from the wealth of information that you're constantly getting, how to communicate.
Yeah.
That sounds so simple, but
It
are
does.
we listening to hear, or are we listening with our answers pre-prepared? Because I know what he's going to say.
Yeah.
Okay. What about the fact that you walk past people all the time and their job is to support you by ensuring that you have a clean environment? Do you know that person's name? Where do they live? What about them do you know? Because knowing each person that is in your sphere is absolutely important, because again, where does loyalty lie? Loyalty lies when people feel this person cares for me, this person values me. So treating people as people is absolutely key. And I'm going to tell you, there's not much rocket science to this thing. It's just understanding, contrary to whatever it takes to get it done.
Mhm.
We look at, let's pour into people, because if we serve them, they will in turn reward us for serving them. That's it.
Beautiful.
That's it, Mark. As simple as it sounds.
Beautiful. I want to talk a little bit about you and what drives you. So, you're a very accomplished professional. You went to Howard University, you graduated, you got your doctorate, and the vast majority of people in your position and in my position end up being clinicians for their entire career. And that's what they love and that's what they do. That's their comfort zone. But there are some people that take a different path, and other things end up fulfilling them at a higher degree, right? So you working with people and other professionals, it seems, kind of superseded the clinical stuff, and you kind of utilize this platform and your educational basis to kind of catapult your other businesses and your other career. So is this an entrepreneurial drive? Is this a drive to work with people, or what was it that got you to transition from the typical clinical dentist to what it is that you do now?
That is such a good question. What if I told you that I really did not transition from what I do? What if I just told you that in each season it looks different? So I still do clinical dentistry and I care for people. And I love the fact that many of them consider me a part of their family. I know what's going on. I've served several generations. I've watched them grow up, and now they have their own kids. And it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
But I also recognize that as I've matured, notice I didn't say gotten older. I am entering my legacy phase where I feel I want to give back in different ways. Now, you can have a statue of somebody with their name on it, or you can have a building named after someone. But do you know what happens after a while? People come and go. They don't even know the name of the building.
Mm-hmm.
People see this statue. They say, oh my gosh, I have to drive around this thing. Why did they put this thing here?
Yes.
Nobody cares. My desire is to leave a mark by pouring into people, because they will in turn pour into others and others and others. And isn't that what we want? To be able to pour into people so that they in turn can pour into others. So it's a different, it looks different, but it's very much the same.
Mm-hmm.
I've always loved pouring into people. And the truth is, I feel that I have a mentor. His name is Miles Monroe. And he says, the richest place on earth is the graveyard, because there are buried books that should have been written, songs that should have been sung, etc., etc., etc. So my tagline is, I want to go home empty. None of my talents are going to be buried. I'm going to use all of them up to serve all the folks around me. And out of that, I believe that I will earn an income to take care of myself. But first and foremost, I believe, as John says, if you take care of people, if you meet their needs, you'll be taken care of.
Beautiful.
So I don't know if that answers your question. But yes, that's me.
That's a wonderful answer. That's far and away like the most inspirational answer that I could have hoped for. HD, what's the best way for people to get involved with your trainings and maybe get in touch with you?
So I'm on most of the socials,
Okay.
LinkedIn, Dental Assisting Made Easy, or HD Lawson Meyers. You'll find me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
IG, Dental Assisting Made Easy. And it's very easy to find on IG. And we have ways that you can connect us if you actually go to the websites.
Mm-hmm.
They're similar: trainyourdentalassistant.com or dentalassistingmadeeasy.com. And I do a little experimentation on TikTok. I don't do any dancing or anything like that.
Yeah.
But you'll be able to find me on the talk as well. I'm sorry, I'm not what did Twitter change to?
X.
I don't do much.
I don't do X either. I do them all except for X.
That's right.
Yeah.
So if you look on TikTok, you'll find me by my name.
Okay.
Or if you want to send an email, you can send it to DAMELFD@educenter.com.
Excellent.
Excuse me, at gmail.com.
At gmail.com. Awesome.
Yeah, so there are a few ways.
Well, HD, it's been such a pleasure to get to know you at a deeper level. Thank you so much for taking the time to spend with myself and the listeners. It was a great inspirational talk today.
Oh, thank you so much, Mark. It really was my pleasure. I don't say that lightly. I'm grinning from ear to ear because it's just been such a wonderful few minutes spent. And I hope this won't be our last connection.
Oh, I don't think it will. If it's up to me, it won't be. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Heather Dawn Lawson Meyers.